Dear family, friends, and colleagues, my name is Richard Solomon, and this is my partner, life partner, Jackie Sonders. And this is the episode number 12 in our series, Enhancing Human Relationships Through the Fourth R. And the relationship skill today we're going to go over is negative inquiry. It's actually a refusal relationship skill. Now, in the previous episode, we defined, described, and demonstrated the first of four relationship skills, and we shared the broken record. The broken record is the repeated assertion of what a person would say when an aggressor tries to take advantage of you. Usually three broken record assertions, such as, I'm not going to do this for you anymore, ends the conversation. But in today's episode, we're going to describe and demonstrate something called negative inquiry, which is a refusal skill developed by Manuel Smith in his book, When I Say No, I Feel Guilty. Now, I have a handout, which I'll show you over here, on negative inquiry. And you'll be able to get that by looking at my Facebook page or emailing me, and we'll talk about that later. But let's first explain what we mean by negative inquiry. When someone calls you a demeaning name or a put down in order to get something of value from you, like your money, your time, your possessions, or something that you do not wish to offer him, negative inquiry is an appropriate refusal skill to deploy. So what exactly is negative inquiry? Negative inquiry is an assertive interpersonal response which can be used to determine if the verbal criticism offered by a person is constructive, fair, and helpful, or destructive, unfair, and hurtful. Fundamentally, with negative inquiry, it is asking the person who is giving negative feedback to supply specific examples or additional information in support of his or her criticism. If the critic can supply the additional information, the negative feedback may be constructive. However, if the critic cannot provide the evidence, you then have successfully called his or her bluff and learned that the feedback was unjust, destructive, and perhaps manipulative. So Jackie and I will now demonstrate negative inquiry in two ways. The positive way, how it should be used, and circumstances where the person is really harmful or aggressive. All right, so Jackie, let's demonstrate this. You come to my door, and what do you want?
Hey, Richard, I know I asked you for the lawnmower yesterday, but we've got that party today, and the lawn is really so bad. Won't you change your mind? I really would like to borrow the lawnmower just this once.
Jackie, I know you want the lawnmower. We discussed this yesterday, and we also discussed it in the past. I've changed my mind, and I no longer want to give you my lawnmower. That's the end of it.
Richard, that's not like you. You're not a good neighbor. You're hurtful and you're selfish.
Wait a second. I got to find out more about this. Why do you say I'm not a good neighbor?
We were always on a friendly basis. We always would do things for each other. When one's in trouble, the other would help each other out, and you're just not doing it anymore. You're not a good neighbor.
Well, that's true. And I remember when I needed to borrow your car, you provided that for me, and I appreciate that. But why would you call me hurtful?
Well, we've known each other for so long. I would depend on you as a friend. You could depend on me as a friend. And that really hurts me when I realize it's not happening anymore.
I didn't think of that. All right. Then why would you call me selfish?
Well, so many times you or your wife has come over to our place and could I borrow some flour for the recipe? My car's not working. Could you drive me someplace? Can you let me borrow the newspaper? Ours didn't come. I want to read the article. And now you're being selfish with the lawnmower, and you always used to let me borrow the lawnmower, and I don't understand it.
So, folks, this is a wonderful example of how negative inquiry can be used to explore whether the neighbor's comments were justified, which they were, or not. And I may, in fact, let her have the lawnmower, or we may negotiate on how we can together purchase a new lawnmower. Okay, now for the negative example. We start the same way.
Hey, Richard, look outside. The lawn looks terrible, and the company is coming later. I really need to borrow your lawnmower. Can't I please borrow it?
Jack, we discussed this. The lawnmower is not available. I'm not going to give it to you. That's it.
I don't know what's going on. You're not a good neighbor anymore. You're hurtful. You're selfish. I just don't understand. I just don't like it.
Well, wait a second. Let me try to understand. Why do you call me not a good neighbor? What do you mean?
You're refusing. You're not acting like good neighbors should act to each other. You're just being a bad neighbor.
All right. Well, what about hurtful? Why do you call me hurtful? That's not a nice thing to say.
Well, you don't care what you say anymore. You're just saying no. And all the times that I've helped you out, you're just saying no. You're being very hurtful, and you're not like you used to be. I don't know why you're changing. I don't know what's going on.
All right, let me just ask this last question. It upsets me that you would think I'm selfish. Why did you call me selfish?
Because you're not letting me use the lawnmower. I don't see what the problem is. You're being selfish. Your hurtful good neighbors would let me use the lawnmower. I don't know what's going on, Richard. I just don't like it.
And I'm not going to let her have the lawnmower because she's using manipulation. She's using demeaning words. She wants to hurt my feelings. If she cannot justify her position, I'm definitely not going to let her have my lawnmower. Whereas in the first example, she was able to document what we have done together and how we've been neighborly. So what negative inquiry basically is a vehicle to determine if it's manipulation by an aggressor or it's someone who is just saying things maybe in an unkind way, but there is justification for my letting her have the lawnmower or negotiating to maybe buy a new lawnmower. So now we invite you, our viewers, to practice negative inquiry, which is not easy to do, with members of your family, friends, colleagues, teammates, and workmates, or even strangers when they want to take advantage of you, because negative inquiry is a refusal skill. Okay? Now, if you want a copy of the handout on the negative inquiry, just email me at my email address, rdsolomonphd@gmail.com. Or you could take a screenshot of the handout on my Facebook page. Please feel free to share your comments and questions about this episode or our video series via email, via Facebook or Twitter, and or my YouTube account. Now, in our next episode, we'll describe and demonstrate the third fourth R refusal skill called fogging. I'll spell that. It's Fogging. It's a strange relationship skill. And we want to thank you so much for being a vital part of our series. And we'll see you next time. Bye. And thank you so much.